6 years ago, I canceled my health insurance. Why? Because I'm a narcissist and I fell into the same bullshit. I wanted the gold-plated health insurance. And what did I find? That half the time we were going outside of the network. We're wealthy. We want to go to the doctors we want to go to. Half the time it wasn't covered. And when it was covered, it was a ton of time and cost to get reimbursed. And their incentives are to make it difficult for you, right? Such that there's a lot of breakage and they make more money than that 45 cents on the dollar that they get from profits and administration. So what do you have? I was spending $55,000 a year on health insurance. Over 6 years, I have saved $330,000. That is not that unusual. So over 6 years, a family of four can save $250,000 in healthcare costs. Now, I can do this because if I get hit with a really unfortunate, unforeseen illness, I can absorb it. Most people can't. What do we need to do? We need to consumerize it such that people become more thoughtful consumers and they start asking their doctors, how much is this going to cost? Is it worth it? And quite frankly, young people may decide to go naked because another dirty secret of the insurance industry is we overcharge young people such that they can subsidize old people. It's old people that need health care. Until people have a baby up until the age of 40, quite frankly, they really don't need health care. They need to eat well. They need to exercise. That's if you want true health care as opposed to sick care, you would take some money and you would encourage people. You would give them the money such that they weren't in food deserts, such that they weren't obese, and you got them working out. They don't need the doctor.
I do want to add some other notes. He said, note, I am not telling you to cancel your health insurance. This goes against most personal financial advice, as paying a small sum to avoid potentially having to pay a much larger sum is generally the way to go. Peace of mind can be worth a lot. I'm saying the system is clunky at best and a nightmare at worst. Whether you keep your health insurance depends on your health, your savings, and your risk tolerance. And each of these is highly individual. I share what works for my family, and I realize I'm in a rare position of privilege. I would advise you to do what makes you sleep well at night. Do we need health insurance? I know if you're an entrepreneur and you're not tied to a job, you have no choice but to kind of curate a system that works for you. But to the other folks, I know people that they say that they're going to stay at their job because they're comfortable. The health insurance is good. So let's open it up for discussion. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts.
People say benefits are just as important as salary when you're trying to find a job. Yes, this man is wealthy. He can pay out of the pocket for health insurance. Anybody who does not have health insurance, it's a gamble. Okay, we can assume because you're young, you're going to be healthy, but we see young people falling ill every day. And of course, we can promote going to the gym, but let's just be honest, most people don't do that. You can say, oh, this food is not good for you, but what do? They eat it anyway. So it sounds good if you have a person that's straight and narrow and they're like, you know what, I'm going to do it this way. But most Americans are just not going to do it. They've shown you over and over again. They'll start a diet plan for 2 or 3 days, and that's me too. And then on the 4th day, what happened here? So I do think that health insurance is important, but there are different types of health insurance, at least in education. I think that's one of the good things I like about education because they give you options, right? A lot of options. And of course, the bigger the corporation, the better the health insurance because there are more people feeding into the plan. But one option, if you are young, is a wellness plan. It's cheaper for you. It's just covering, it focuses more on preventative care more so than, diagnostic. So going to take your physical, especially if you're sexually active, more people are sexually active now than probably ever before. It's hell. You need health care to understand that you are out here in these streets. You need to go to the gynecologist. You need to go see a doctor, cough one good time, whatever. But I do think the average American does need insurance because if they don't have insurance, they're not going to go to the doctor. They're going to be like, oh, I can just sit this out. I can sit this out. We know time is of the essence. So when it comes to your health. So I don't, if you are rich like him, sure. Be a part of a company, look at the benefits plan, try to get a company that's going to offer you great benefits as well as a great salary. That's the best option for you. And definitely go to the doctor. So that's it. That's all I think.
All right, go ahead, Luis.
Well, I would like to start off by saying that yes, we need health insurance, but I think that hinting on what Pierre Monet had started off with was we need sort of that preventative care in the beginning. Before we even get deep dive into health insurance and when you should have it, we should really have a community conversation about health and eating right and what is the nutritional tablet and what's and how to read it and what's on it, right? It all starts at home. For me, it like talking about health, it all starts at home. Like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? You have to create the kind of culture inside your house, right? And then also too, there used to be once upon a time. I don't know if anybody saw that video on IG. Like they had a video from 1960 where JF Kennedy was promoting like health and wellness, right? And then he said a speech of like the saddest thing in the world to see is a young, overweight child, right? And sort of he prioritized like health and fitness. And there was like this whole video of guys working out. We have fallen off that wagon so large that we are literally the most obese nation in the world at all ages, right? And that shouldn't be the case. With all these advancements and stuff like that, like health is no longer a focal point conversation. We talk about health insurance, but we're not talking about people walking, people exercising, and eating well. It is a culture mindset. It's a culture mindset that starts at a young age. You know what I'm saying? What what is your relationship or what's your family relationship with food? You know what I'm saying? What is your family's relationship with, you know, going out for walks or your family going for biking or outdoor activities, right? How active are you? That has to be embedded into the culture, not only at the school system, because the school system is going to be whatever the school system wants to be. And quite frankly, nowadays, I don't even trust it. It doesn't even set up young people on the right path for life. And sort of it has to start at the home level and then spread out to the community level. And then we can start talking about what health insurance is more advantageous for certain people at certain ages, right? Things happen, life happens, right? Um, some illnesses might pop up, right? That's why it's very important to understand your family chart. Do you have a history of diabetes? Do you have a history of high blood pressure? What are the things that you could do at a young age to prevent those things? And what are those conversations like? Those need to happen and foster everything around before we deep dive into the health insurance. But yes, in this country, definitely, I think there are too many people that don't have health insurance. I was just recently reading before we started, it was that amongst just Black people alone, we're more likely to have private insurance and we make up 55%. You know what I'm saying? While Black people are more likely to have more public insurance, and that's like 13 versus 18%. And sort of there isn't a large comparison for people who don't have enough health insurance. It is very strange to me, especially when I've heard conversations about guys not going to the doctors for like 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Not seeing their primary health care in years. No blood work, no nothing. That is should be a topic of conversation. A lot of young people, unfortunately, are falling behind because of that. They're not doing their wellness check, you know what I'm saying? Going to get their blood work, and then they only rush there when there's already a problem. And there was a series of steps before that they could have taken before it became a big issue. And sort of we talk about health insurance, but the biggest health insurance is the investment up front from the type of lifestyle and the type of things that we push. We have to reevaluate our relationship with food, and we have to reevaluate our relationship in and around the culture that promotes the things that don't let us lead a long life and longevity. So I yield.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Taken. You're on mute, just so you know, man.
I pretty much agree with what everyone was saying at this point. But I think all of this is intentional. I think like the Food and Drug Administration is in cahoots with the healthcare administration, the medical, like all of that, they play off of each other because the biggest thing, it's about money. So even if you go to the doctor, there are very few that I've come across, but I'll say most doctors are not trying to cure you, right? It's not called health cure. Insurance is called care, right? So that means something is wrong, so you need care, right? So I don't think they make it their job to actually get to the root of the problem and fix it. It is to put a band-aid on it so you can keep coming back, right? And then even if let's say that they took the initiative to say, if we gave them incentives for making their patients well, right? So if you cure, you get X amount of dollars, right? It would incentivize them to make sure that they're actually fixing some of these problems that they can, right? But then I think is a barrier to that, because then you have the Food and Drug Administration, all of these chemicals, all of these things that they allow to be pumped into our food, all of the pesticides, all of these things that have been identified to cause cancer, to have an impact as you get older and, end up having Alzheimer's, all of those things like sugar. I just saw something about saying that Alzheimer's is actually a form of diabetes in the brain, right? So our food, everything, it pushes us to get sick. Even if we wanted to eat better, we can make healthier choices, but you can't get away necessarily from all the stuff that they are putting in the food. So, I mean, you could do a little better. And the sad thing about it is not that they can't fix it, because the same companies are making these foods and sending it to other countries without all of the chemicals in it, because they've made those chemicals illegal. They've banned them in those countries. So though they're able to eat healthier, but as Americans, our is money over everything, right? So even if you're attempting to eat healthier, you can make better choices, but it's still going to be a part of an issue at some point. So for me, I think health insurance is very important, but I think it really has to it really has to be on you to be proactive. So it's there for when you need it, but it is on you. Even though the food is bad, you can still make better choices. You don't have to eat candy, right? That's something that you could control. If you can afford to eat, choose vegetables and fruit that are organic, right? To try to lessen, but that gets expensive. I've tried it and it is kind of expensive. So there are steps that you can take on your own to do better, like doing research. Like my sister, she is into a lot of that, like natural stuff. So stuff happen, we'll call her like, what do I do for X, Y, and Z? And she gives us like natural remedies. So going back to old school, learning that kind of stuff, I think will be very helpful. But yeah, I don't think the healthcare, food care, all of that, we need it because of the environment that they have created to create the need for it.
I was gonna say that as well. Like a lot of people are going holistic now, or looking up different ways to like find home remedies and do stuff at home, so that because they can't afford it, or they just feel like it's cleaner because what we're given is just not even good. Not even the medication. The medication got several effects to it. It's like, dang, by the time I get done taking the medicine, am I gonna still be here? So there's not really many options. Like, yeah, it would be responsible to have insurance, but it's like a hassle. Like even when you have it, you have to use XYZ amount of it to get your deductible. Like not saying that my dad stuck with his wife, but his my dad is an entrepreneur. His wife has a job. He uses her insurance for his health, and he's had heart surgery 2 times and have heart palpitations and stuff like that. So basically with insurance, nobody else is going to take you after they know that you set in stone, you got a problem and you're a liability. Nobody else going to take you. So then you're stuck. You know what I'm saying? And with the whole thing about like men not going to the doctors, that could be financial, but sometimes that's choice. Because some guys be waiting for a woman to go to the doctor to find out their test results.
What?
Some dudes do that. Hold on, let me finish. It's crazy, but I feel like that's choice because, or sometimes it's just not taught for guys to go to the doctor to get a checkup because they don't do it as regular as us women do. That's my opinion, but there are like different outlets where you can go get free checkups and here and there, so that's really not an excuse. Yeah, that's my take on it.